Have you ever used your phone to find the nearest coffee shop? Or maybe to navigate your way through an unfamiliar city on vacation? Of course you have. We all do it without a second thought. That little blue dot moving smoothly across a map, guiding us to our destination. It feels like magic. But what if I told you that this everyday magic is at the center of a massive global power shift? A technological tug of war that's reshaping alliances and changing the very definition of national security. Because right now, as we speak, a major country, Iran, is making a monumental decision. They're systematically unplugging from the system we all know and use, the American GPS, and are plugging into a powerful new alternative from China called BeiDou. This isn't just a simple software update, this is a geopolitical earthquake, and it signals the end of an era. So, what's really going on here? Why is Iran ditching a system that works for billions of people, and what does this mean for the rest of the world? Let's break it down. To really understand the weight of this decision, we need to rewind the clock a bit. The GPS system, that friendly guide in our pockets, wasn't born in Silicon Valley with the goal of helping us find pizza. It was a child of the Cold War. In the 1970s, the US military poured billions into creating a constellation of satellites to give their ships, planes, and soldiers an unbeatable edge. The ability to know their exact location, anywhere on Earth, at any time. For decades, it was purely a military tool. But over time, the US opened it up for civilian use, and it completely transformed our world. Today, it's the invisible backbone of modern life. It's not just in our cars and phones. GPS guides airplanes to runways, steers massive cargo ships across oceans, synchronizes global financial transactions down to the nanosecond, and even helps farmers plow their fields with pinpoint accuracy. Over 6 billion devices and 85% of the world's navigation needs depend on it. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Because the US government built it and the US military runs it, they hold the ultimate off switch. This immense power has created a profound vulnerability for every other country on the planet. This isn't just a conspiracy theory. It has happened before. During the Iraq War in 2003, the US deliberately degraded the GPS signal in the region, essentially blinding the Iraqi military and rendering their guided weapons useless. If you're finding this look behind the curtain of a technology we use every day fascinating, do me a quick favor and hit that like button, and share this with someone you think would be interested. It really helps get the word out about these important global shifts. Now, for China, this wasn't just a distant problem. They had their own jarring wake-up call back in 1993. The US accused a Chinese merchant ship, the Yinhe, of carrying chemical weapon materials to Iran. To stop the ship, the US simply switched off the GPS signal in that part of the ocean. The Chinese crew was left stranded, floating blind in the Indian Ocean for over a month until they were forced to submit to an inspection, which, by the way, found nothing. For Beijing, that moment was a profound humiliation and a lesson they would never forget. You cannot be a global power if your eyes in the sky are controlled by your biggest rival. That incident lit a fire under them. They decided they needed their own system, one they could trust and control. And so began the journey to create BeiDou. It was an uphill battle. The West, particularly the US, was wary of China's ambitions and imposed strict technology embargoes, essentially putting up a giant "Do Not Enter" sign on the advanced tech China needed. At one point, China even tried to partner with Europe on their Galileo navigation project, investing over 270 million euros. But they were largely sidelined, treated more like a piggy bank than a partner, and denied access to the core technology. So China decided to go it alone, and this is where the story gets really incredible. Defying all the skepticism, they poured resources, talent, and sheer national will into the project. They launched their first satellites in the early 2000s, and by 2012, they had a system covering the Asia-Pacific region. But they didn't stop there. By July 2020, they had launched over 55 satellites, creating a robust global network that didn't just rival GPS, but in many ways surpassed it. So, with this powerful new system on the block, let's turn our attention back to Iran. For years, they've been uneasy about their reliance on GPS, but a recent conflict brought the danger into painfully sharp focus. During a 12-day clash with Israel in June, their military experienced catastrophic navigation failures. Drones flew blind and got lost, sophisticated missiles veered wildly off course, and their command and control were thrown into chaos. It was a devastating reminder that in a real conflict, their American-made navigation system could become their Achilles heel, easily disrupted by their adversaries. Even more chilling, investigations into the assassinations of several of their top nuclear scientists and military commanders revealed a horrifying fact. GPS-enabled devices had been used to track their movements in real time, leading assassins directly to them. The very technology meant to guide was being used to target. Faced with this existential threat, the decision was made. Iran had to have a navigation system independent of the West, and China's BeiDou was the obvious choice. So, why BeiDou? Well, on a technical level, it's simply a more modern and powerful system. It has more than 50 satellites in orbit, almost double the number of GPS, which means better and more reliable coverage. It also has 10 times more monitoring stations on the ground, which makes it incredibly accurate. We're talking about positioning accuracy down to the centimeter level. That's the difference between navigating to a building and navigating to a specific window on that building. GPS, by contrast, is generally accurate to within a few meters. And here's a feature that's a real game changer, especially for a country with vast deserts and mountains like Iran. BeiDou has a built-in short message service. This means that even if you have no phone signal, no internet, nothing, you can still send out your location and a short text message via the satellite. It's a lifeline in an emergency and a massive strategic advantage for military units operating in remote areas. Pakistan, a close ally of China, has been using BeiDou for years. During a tense standoff with India in 2019, they used BeiDou guided weapons to great effect, proving the system's precision and its powerful resistance to electronic jamming. It's a huge strategic pivot, driven by some very real-world threats. What do you think about this? Is this a smart move for Iran, or are they just trading one dependency for another? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm always fascinated to read the different perspectives from viewers like you. But make no mistake, this isn't just an Iran-China story. It's a symptom of a much larger global trend. The two countries signed a massive 25-year strategic cooperation agreement in 2021, with China pledging up to $400 billion in investments in Iran. China is now buying nearly 90% of Iran's oil. This isn't just a technological partnership. It's a deep economic and political alliance. Iran trusts that China won't pull the plug on them, a certainty they could never have with the United States. And others are following suit. The Port Authority in Saudi Arabia has already switched from GPS to Chinese navigation equipment. Hundreds of fishing boats in the UAE are now fitted with BeiDou terminals. Over 30 countries across Africa have set up BeiDou monitoring stations. In total, 137 nations are now connected to China's system. What we are witnessing is the slow and steady end of the GPS monopoly. The era where one country held the keys to global navigation is over. We are moving into a multipolar world, with not just the US GPS and China's BeiDou, but also Europe's Galileo and Russia's GLONASS, all competing for influence. For countries like Iran, it's about reducing their vulnerability and taking back control over their own security. This shift will have ripple effects that touch everything. It will change how wars are fought, how goods are shipped, and how financial markets operate. It's a quiet revolution, happening thousands of miles above our heads, but its consequences will be felt right here on the ground. The rise of BeiDou is a powerful story of a nation's determination to forge its own path and achieve what many thought was impossible. It's a stark reminder that in our deeply interconnected world, the quest for technological independence, or what some call technological sovereignty, is becoming one of the defining struggles of the 21st century. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this deep dive. It's a complex topic, but it's one that affects us all in ways we might not even realize. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, please show your support by hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so you won't miss our next video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.